Welcome back. I get to work on and drive my all-time favorite Mustang, 1968 GT Fastback in Highland Green. Yes, a Bullitt Mustang. Follow along. Well, first things first, I got to get everything out of this garage. I mean, I got to get my big truck out of here, my ugly truck. And I got, well, this could stay, but I'll get it out of the way as well. And I got to go up to my friend's house and get this Mustang. It's his father-in-law's. And he says it's not running right. And I've seen it. It takes forever to get it to even idle for any length of time. So I'm going to go get it and bring it back home and do some work on it. So follow along. I'm just excited. Ooh. You can see what I have for a new visitor in my garage. 1968 Mustang GT Fastback. Yeah, I know anybody that's a gearhead have seen that movie, so yes, it is a copy of the Bullitt Mustang. Complete with the American racing wheels. The only thing different is it doesn't have a 390 in it, but it does have the 4-speed. And I'm not sure if this is a deluxe interior. I don't think it is because it doesn't have any wood grain. But anyway, it's not running right. So a friend of mine is asking me to help him get it running right. This is what you would call a normal car. It was restored like 25 years ago, and it just kind of suffered from spending most of its life in the garage and not being driven. And now it doesn't want to run very well. So I'm going to figure out what's wrong with it. It runs ridiculously rich and won't stay running at when it's cold. And then I just drove it down the highway for 30 miles on the way back here, and it surges like it's got a vacuum leak or something. So I got to solve both of those problems. And I'm going to let the engine cool off a bit. See, it's a 302. At least that's what I was told. It has a blueprint engine's air cleaner on it, but it's not a blueprint engine. It's got nice wine valve covers on it. It's got a Holley 4-barrel of some sort. Let me take this air cleaner off. Ugh. Ooh, that's gonna be hot. Hang on a second. Okay. So it's your basic Holley 4-barrel, 1850 style, 600 CFM vacuum secondary. It looks like it's got an electric choke. It is an 1850. It's not a dash anything. Looking by those flat-bladed screws on the bowls, it looks like a very early one. I have to look at the date. I could probably decipher the date if I need to. But who cares? It's old. It's an old 1850. Maybe part of the problem is that there's not much fuel in this after driving 30 miles. Ooh, and it's dirty. I'm getting a new filter for it. And so like I say, this is an older restoration. It's starting to show its age a little bit. I mean, the paint's not perfect. It's got a couple of flaws here and there. I mean, it wasn't a perfect restoration anyways. I mean, it's not like your high-end, super high-end restoration, and the interior is starting to show a little bit. It was redone 25 years ago, but you can see the seat. There's a little rip in the seat, and the carpet's a little faded, but it's a really nice car otherwise. And if I could convince the guy to sell it to me, I probably put a second mortgage on my house to pay for it. Ooh, it's got a Craco digital AM/FM cassette deck. Fancy schmancy. I'm assuming it's a top loader 4-speed, which is what most of these came with. Not sure the gears. The tachometer doesn't read really well, but it's like probably like 325 gears in it. It cruises down the highway. Well, the tach says 4,000 RPM, but it's not really 4,000 RPM. It cruises more like 2,500. And, anywho. Yeah, the mirror glass for the mirror fell out sometime back. And it's got some interesting, it's got some red interior, like garnish moldings are red, which is kind of odd. That's like candy apple red for this year. And the rest of the interior is black. And BFGs, fairly new BFGs with American Racing torque thrusts in it. I think the current owner did that. But it is a legit GT Mustang. And 1968, because you can tell it's a 68 or even a late 68. Sometimes I heard that early 68s didn't have side marker lamps, but this one does have side marker lamps, so it is not a 67. And it's in the beautiful Highland Green, which is my favorite color for this year Mustang. So let's figure out why it's running like crap and get it fixed and get it back to the owner. Okay, the first thing I did is let the car cool off a bit, and then I just moved the throttle back to set the choke, and as you can see, it is way too tight. It does not need to be, it should be like about there, right? So normally you just want to have about the thickness of a screwdriver, like that, sorry, opening for the choke. So first thing I'm going to do is, oh, those are flat bladed, just loosen these 3 screws on the choke stove here and lean it out a bit, or so it's not so tight, and that'll help solve the really rich condition that we have when we start the car up when it's cold. Oops, I forgot to turn the camera back on. So I opened the front one and it was perfect, and you lean on the fender and it starts to dribble out, then that floats perfect. Now the back one I opened up and fuel came out, you started dribbling out. Like that's a sign that either one or two things: the float is set too high, or the float is sunk. I'm gonna get a light and see if I can see what's going on with the float in the hole. Usually you can't. Yeah. So the float might be too high. Now I'm gonna go around the other side to set it. You need 2 things to set the float. The float adjustment, these are where your needle and seats are at. They're underneath the screw and nut. And to set the choke, you really just need a 5/8 wrench and a big screwdriver. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the pressure here with the screwdriver first. And I'm kind of curious to see where the needle and seat is sitting. Because if the needle and seat's way down in the hole, then it might be bad and might just be leaking. It is way up. So the needle and seat is way up in the back, which could reason why it's probably running way rich. So I'm gonna drop it down quite a bit, actually. Normally usually I just crack the screw open, crack it open, and then turn this with the wrench. But normally you can get a ratchet wrench like this on there to turn it, but this one on the back doesn't want to fit because of the. So I'm going to turn this down a little bit and see if I can get something different out of it. I'm gonna usually just go like one full turn start with, but on this one I'm gonna go a little bit farther. There we go. Put the screw back on. Hold the nut with your wrench, and then tighten up the screw with your big screwdriver. This one's not even big enough for this. Like so. And then I'm going to give it a little more throttle and see if it'll stay running at idle, even if it is a little bit higher speed. Go in, it's still running way rich. I have the garage door mostly closed, and it's filling up the room with gas fumes. Why does it need so much fuel at idle? Makes no sense. So it might have a huge vacuum leak too, which I need to find. Alright, so what I discovered is that the throttle blade is kind of loose, so I'm going to spray some hard puller around that hole. See how the idle went up a little bit? See? The throttle blade shaft is loose. I'm going to shut the car off before I dive in the switch. Well, this Holly's older than dirt, and I thought it might have been the fuel pump. But the filter's completely full, so I have to start the fuel pump. But it's if you look here, watch this. I can move the throttle blade all around in that shaft. The shaft moves around in the base plate. And let me see if you can get a better look at it this way. I'm going to zoom in pretty far here. Hang on. There we go. Alright, so to check the throttle blade, see, I got it open, and you see how it's able to move around, how it's moving up and down inside the base plate here. It needs a throttle shaft pretty bad. Since this carburetor is probably older than dirt, it's probably about the same age as this damn car. I'm thinking that we probably be just better off getting a different carburetor put on it. And I got another 600 sitting on the shelf over here. I took off of a friend's car, and I can try that one, or I can use it just for the base plate. I got a couple over here that are 600s that I might be able to use just for the base plates if the base plates match up. So we'll see what happens here. All right. Okay, here's an update on the car. Talked with the owner today, and he does not want to deal with the Holley carburetor anymore, so I ordered an Edro for him, and that's what we're going to put on the car for him. And because he prefers them, it's his car. Nothing wrong with Edro. I prefer Holleys. That's just a personal opinion. So we're going to put an Edro on it, but in the meantime tonight, the carburetor will be in tomorrow. So tonight I'm going to change the spark plugs and see if I can figure out the timing. I also got a new fuel filter to replace that one that has a bunch of dirt in it. So we're going to do that tonight, and then tomorrow we'll get that Edro on there. Hopefully we just get this thing out of the road and down the road so the owner of the vehicle can enjoy it this weekend. So I'm going to change out this old filter. It's got some dirt in it, and I got a new one from the parts store this evening. So it's completely full of gas, so it's going to drip everywhere. There we go. Fuel pump's good because it keeps that fuel filter completely full. Just drain it into the drain pan down there. You can see the dirt and the muck that's in it. Yeah, it's not horrible, but you know what? Change it. I accidentally bought a 3/8 because that's what I thought this fuel line was. But oh yeah, it is. Okay, so they just had a 5/16 fuel filter, and they were crushing it with the hose with the hose clamps here. So this will work just fine. Go. See, I pulled the number one spark plug, and as you can see, it looks practically brand new. So I don't think I'm going to replace it. It doesn't look. Will you focus? Let's get it focus. There we go. Looks brand new. And I'm going to check a few other plugs because it was running way rich because of the vacuum leak. But the vacuum leak might have the vacuum leaks on the carburetor may have offset the carburetor set to way so rich. So I was underneath the dash fixing the ignition. For some reason, the key switch was horizontal, which meant the people kept leaving the key on and killing the brakes. But then I found this underneath the seat. So it's got new plates on it now, but this thing has been sitting a long time, 20 years. Runs pretty damn good. They had a local mechanic work on it, trying to make it run better, but they put the Pertronics unit on it. But that wasn't the problem. Obviously the carburetor is the problem, but oh well. I rotated the engine around to find the timing marks, and then I just kind of used my paint pen to show it. So it's top dead center, 3, 6, 9, and 12 degrees. I'm not going to go farther than 12 degrees. Who knows what this was originally? It probably was 6. So I am going to get my timing light out and see what the timing is on this thing. Just here, it's got a Pertronics coil in it, and 2 of the red and black wires coming from the coil to the distributor. It means it's got a Pertronics unit in it, so it's got an electronic conversion in it too. Newer plug wires on it, so I don't have to worry about those. See if I can get it started. Running long enough for me to time it without dying of asphyxiation. Pain in the butt. Give it all the fuel it can. This thing's running long enough. I need to check the. How about that? Let me just do that. Damn! This is old school. I'm going to shove this in here like that. That's how you check the timing. Come on! Really? Honestly? know the camera picks up these flashing lights very well. It's about where I want it. I can see if I can find any other vacuum leaks. That way I don't get surprised tomorrow when I put a carb on it. I've done everything I can tonight and waiting on the carb. So I gotta wait on the carb for tomorrow. And then got the timing all set. Though I'm gonna probably recheck the timing. I left the timing light out and connected because I'm gonna recheck it to tomorrow after I get the Edro Carburetor on it. And I better check to see if I have enough fuel line to go from the fuel filter up, because the carburetor Edelbrock's into fuel line is way over there. Not very convenient if you own a Ford. Alright, this is what we ordered for the Mustang. It's a Edelbrock 1403. It's a 500 CFM carburetor. It's got electric choke. Normally I would go with a 600, but this is a stock 302. It really doesn't need a 600, and this way I won't have to worry about adjusting the jets or anything like that. At this point, I'm going to skip how I set up a Edelbrock carburetor. I'm going to do a separate video on how to set up a brand new Edelbrock carburetor and put it on the engine and everything you need to do for that. But more importantly, I just wanted to keep showing you how I made this car run better. So if you would like, I'm going to do another video probably the next couple of weeks on how to take an Edelbrock carburetor straight from the factory and make it run right. And I'll show you that in another video, but please continue watching as I get this Mustang running. Oh, okay. So what sorry, I turned my camera off for a minute. I didn't even realize it. So what I had to do is I had to get the carburetor to sit on the intake because of this big choke housing. I had to slide the coil forward, but sliding the coil forward put it into the heater hose here. So I raised the coil up. I have a 1-inch spacer underneath here. It's just a 1-inch piece of round stock with a 3/8 bolt hole drilled through it. And now it's up higher and forward, which I kind of like it because it gives it more airspace underneath of it, so it won't get so overheated by the engine itself. And then we just bolted it down. All I did was these are the original screws that were on the old Holly, and I just used a wrench on it because you can't really get a socket on the back ones, and really you don't want to go crazy torquing them. They're supposed to be like a total of like, oh, maybe, I can't speak today. I cannot speak today. It is no more than 10 foot-pounds for carburetor studs. Otherwise, you might break the corner of your carburetor off, and you don't want to be that guy. Because on an Edelbrock, you just can't go buy a base plate. You got to buy another $500 carburetor. So, next up, we're gonna get a longer hose. And I'm sorry, my neighbor's mowing lawn, and it sounds like he's mowing up rocks with his lawnmower too. I think I might run the hose underneath like this, like so, like that, something, I don't know. Yeah, that might work. And then over to the fuel filter. Yeah, I like that. I was gonna get one of the, Edelbrock has one of these nice fuel logs that goes down and straight forward, but this is in the way, so can't do that. So we're just gonna leave this on there, and then we have a Blueprint Engines air cleaner here. See, you get these around town mainly because you live in the same town as Blueprint Engines, so yeah, no problem. So it'll fit the fuel inlet without a problem. Drop-based air cleaners have a problem with Edelbrocks with this fuel inlet. It doesn't want to work without like a little spacer up here. Okay. Let's see here. This is the vacuum line for the vacuum advance, and I always forget which one's which. And I'm going to need a plug for this and a plug for that because we're not using both of them. And that's about it. Let's get going here. Let's get this piece of fuel line off. They had a 5/16 fuel filter with 3/8 fuel line on it. I just replaced the fuel filter, and so they had these hose clamps crushing down 3/8 fuel line onto a 5/16 fuel filter, and there we go. I don't know if you ever, these are like, I stole these out of the kitchen. They're for like cutting up chicken bones and stuff. And they work great for all kinds of stuff working in the car. So, they also cut fuel line pretty easily. See? Cuts fuel line real easy. There we are. Now I gotta remember, I gotta look at the instructions with which one's ported and which one isn't, because I forget. The kit comes with a couple of these for the small ones up front, but they don't include a vacuum cap for the big 3/8 one up front, which is, I don't know, that's not cool. So this one is your timed vacuum or ported vacuum. 90% of vacuum advances go there. This is manifold vacuum. So if you had an automatic transmission, say like a Chevy with a Turbo 350 with a vacuum modulator, this is where that would connect if it wasn't connected to something in the back of the engine. This is where your distributor is normally connected. So I'm going to go this route. Yeah, cut it about there. Get my chicken bone cutter here. This was a Christmas present for my mother. She thought I was cooking a lot, and I don't have the heart to tell her. I took it in the garage, so. And I'm cutting hoses and crap with it. She doesn't watch these anyway, so what she doesn't know won't hurt her, right? Now I just got to figure out this. They originally went into a hole like right here with that clip, and I don't know if this clip would even work if I drilled out this hole. What I'm going to have to do is put this right here, and then I'm going to have to drill a tiny hole here for a cotter pin, which means I got to take it off back here too. All the problems you got to deal with when you're changing carburetor brands. So I'm going to take a drill bit. I'm going to drill through there a cotter pin straight up and down, in order for that to work, this linkage rod to work with this carburetor. Okay, so I got the linkage rod hooked up. It goes through the motions like it's supposed to. You want to use your gas pedal to make sure the adjustment's correct so it actually opens all the way. I mean, what's the point of having a 4-barrel if it doesn't open all 4 barrels when you push it to the floor? The thing I'm going to do is, this choke is too tight, so I'm going to adjust it. And I do need to take one of these screws out because I need to add the choke's ground wire. Where's the other one? So that's about, like I say, about the thickness of a screwdriver, like a Phillips head screwdriver, is where you want it. So I got these other 2 screws tightened now. I'm going to take this one out all the way. And Edelbrock's carburetor comes with the power wire and the ground wire. Now the car had an electric choke on it before, so I am not concerned about that. I just rehooked up the power wire that was on the electric choke of the previous carburetor. The wire is pretty long, but hey, I don't feel like shortening it. I'm on time crunch. If this was a show car for a customer, I would spend a lot of time on this, but he wants to drive the car this weekend, and that's starting tomorrow. So I'm going to get some gasoline and prime the carburetor. Okay, what I'm doing here, this right here next to the springs that I showed you earlier, the metering rods, there's a hole both sides. That's the bowl vent. So I'm pouring fuel down into the bowl vent. Right? And I'm going to do both sides. And then I'm going to work the throttle a little bit just to make sure it's got gas coming out of it. This side over here has got the accelerator pump on it, so okay. There we go. I forgot the keys. Hang on. Oh yeah, and before I start the car, I'm going to see where these auto mixture screws are at, because I like them about 2 turns out from all the way in. So to start off with, so that's 2, 3, 4. That's 2 turns. It looked like they had about a turn and a half. Yeah. All right, let's see what we get. Let's see if it fires up. Now, I'm going to open my garage door a little more. The high-speed idle, it's always set way high. I'll readjust. Hey! Damn, those plug wires can get you. Look at that. Runs perfect. I never had plug wires zap me so bad just by getting my hand anywhere near them. That running perfect almost already. See how it starts to stumble as you screw it in? It means your idle mixture screws are working right. I'm going to drop it all the way in. I'm just gonna go 1.5 turns out. It'll probably like that. And I'll probably get my vacuum gauge out and hook it up. Now reading 6 degrees of timing because because the carburetor is working right. It isn't running at 1,000 RPM. Well, let me get that. Yeah. A little. Fire it back up. Oh yeah, now it's at 12 degrees. Almost. That's too far. careful sticking your hand down in there. You don't want to get smacked by the fan. I've lost a couple of thumbnails doing that. That's about, I'm lucky that that's all that's happened. Yeah, okay. So let me get my vacuum cleaner. Hey, caramba! Getting electrocuted here by this car. Dang. I'm on you. Let's go. So setting the auto mixture screws by how much, by the best vacuum reading. Yeah. If you go in too far and it starts to drop, go back up. Oh, look at that. Likes a little more fuel. I think it's about right where she likes it. There we go. About 18 inches. Alright. I think he's ready for a test drive. Oh yeah, I'm going to adjust the high-speed idle screw down. Just the high-speed idle. I'm going to come in so you can see it a little better. Okay. Okay, this screw here is your high-speed idle down here. And it's set way too high, so I'm going to go out a couple of turns here like that. Let's see. Yeah, it's still too high. It's just common for them to set it on the high side, that way you can adjust it yourself. Let's see where it's at now. So high that it makes it and I'm doing this all by ear. There's a tachometer in the car, but it isn't very accurate. That's a little bit too much. See where we're at with that. Fit the air cleaner with the carburetor came with a stud, so let's get it on there. Oh, look at that! Oh, that's actually too short. Wow, isn't that interesting? I'll pull this back out. Yeah. I'm gonna use a nut on there. There we go. Believe it or not, your engine can suck an entire carburetor stud down the intake manifold, past the intake valve, and beat the crap out of it with your pistons in your head. Alright, the last thing you want to do is make sure that your hood fits. And yeah, take the timing light off before you close the hood. That would be good. And I'm going to close the hood very slowly to make sure it doesn't hit the carburetor and break all the paint off the hood. So bear with me, I'm going to drop the cable. Hey, now that it's running really good, let's go for a test drive, huh? One of the perks of the job. Make it run good, then you get to drive the really cool car. They didn't really want me to fix everything on it. They just wanted to be able to get in it and drive it. I think he's going to be able to be happy with that. I mean, fixing light bulbs, I'm sure he can do that.